Back in the room.
It makes a change doing this in the morning anyway.
Yeah.
I'm only on my second beer as well, so it's really Okay, welcome to French Ear Trumpet. I'm Andy from AJ in France. We have Colin from French Countryside Live, and today I feel like I should salute or something. We have Robbie from Escape to France Charente. As always, links in the description, so we'll get that out there straight away. And today we're just going to discuss the differences that we found living in the UK and France. The reason being, we've all moved here at different times, and we've immigrated to France, emigrated from the UK using different methods. So me and Colin came pre-Brexit, and Robbie came post-Brexit. Is that right? I think so. There's a difference straight away on immigration status in relation to whether you can work or not and that sort of stuff. So I think, Colin, you have the Article 50 residency card, don't you?
That's correct. Yeah. So we bought a house up in the Pays de la Loire in 2015, and we had it as a holiday home for a few years, and then we was able to move over and get the 10-year residency because of the Brexit withdrawal agreement, which gives us, as I say, a 10-year residency with the ability to work, which is nice. Yeah.
And Jane's got the same, hasn't she?
She's actually registered as retired, so.
But it's still under the same.
It is, yeah.
Pre-Brexit. So I'm the same. I came over 2019, Christmas of 2019. But then I think our cards actually start from when we left, which was January 21, I think.
Right.
So same with me. And what we had to prove for that was virtually nothing. When I rang the people, because I wasn't active at that time, I had no job or anything. I was just looking after my mum and dad. And I said, look, what do I need for this? And they said, look, just basically put your name on the paper and you're going to get it. As long as you can prove you're resident, you got an address. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we had to send some utility bills and
they love that. They love that so much.
I do like the utility bill
because that's
yeah. Well, I mean, you can go on the onto the supplier's website and print off an attestation. And I love it.
It's brilliant. What about you, Robbie? You're slightly different.
Oh yeah, completely different. I'm sat here in awe of the ease that you two both came across. So we came across post Brexit after I retired from being in the place, and we had to jump through hoop after hoop after hoop. I think so our move to France was 2 years in the making. And I think it was like 2 years of anxiety for Lisa, who was doing this in the background, because she didn't really tell me that we were going to be moving to France. Because I'd always told her that I wasn't interested in moving out of the country, but she was. And so she researched around about the different visas, around the working visa, the entrepreneur, the micro-entrepreneur, the inactive, and the inactive visas, which we're both on now, is by far the easiest, but no means easy visa to obtain. And what they don't tell you is it's really, really expensive as well. Can
you just explain what some of the criteria are for an inactive visa?
So one of the criteria was that we had to sign a declaration to the French authorities to promise that we wouldn't take paid employment whilst over in France. That was one of the things that we had to do at the visa appointment. We had to prove that we had accommodation for the whole 12-month visitor visa, because we are on a visitor's visa at the moment, which will obviously apply to be extended through the carte de séjour. But we can only do that after 10 months of being resident in France. So we had to prove that. So we'd already had bought our house, but the moving date wasn't until September. Now, bearing in mind before that, and there is a bit of a backstory, and I know this channel has got a history of going off on a tangent, which it will go off on a tangent at stratospheric level.
We very rarely go off on a tangent. So,
so we'd secured 6 months worth of rental up in Olney from the September through to just after Christmas. In the meantime, we had gone to a Place in the Sun exhibition in Birmingham NEC, and completely out of character for Lisa, and I don't know whether this was her attempt at grooming me to move to France. She said, there is there's a screen test over there. Do you fancy doing it? I'm like, yeah, go on then. So, and that is completely against Lisa, because she is not like that at all. You'll know if you've ever watched my channel, she's hardly ever on it. All 8 planets need to align before she'll get in front of that camera. And so, so we did the screen test, and we didn't hear anything for months. We did a few follow-up chases, you chase emails, and they said, well, you should hear by April. April came and went, and then we heard nothing. And then May, we just got a random phone call from a withheld number, which we rarely answered, but we answered it, and it was Freeform Productions saying, could we do another screen test for a Place in the Sun? We did it, and then we got on the show. So the point around that, me actually waffling on for a bit, was they did all the hard work for us. So we didn't have to have the 6 months worth of rental behind us, because we then had a moving date of the 15th of September. So we came over we left Hastings on the 2nd of September, stayed the night in Folkestone in a completely unair conditioned room, which is a nightmare. And then we had an unair conditioned drive.
Nightmare. It was about 40 degrees, wasn't it?
It was 40 degrees in that car, in an old Nissan Qashqai 2011 plate, where 2 days before the air conditioned, it was the quietest the kids have ever been on any sort of car journey, only because they couldn't breathe. But and so we came to, so I know, yeah, it was amazing. So we'd lost out on 6 months worth of rent because it was non-refundable. But we had to, so going back to the visa appointment, we had to provide all sorts of documentation. So we had to show that we'd actually, I can't remember, it was where you put the 10% deposit down. Right. No, I know it's the acte de vente for the final sale, but there's
acte compris.
Acte compris, yeah. So you've got like a 10-day cooling off period, haven't you? And then you put your 10% deposit down. So we had to prove that. We showed that we had a 6 months worth of rental that we didn't need. We had to prove socio-economical status as well. Yeah. We had to prove that the kids we were in the process of registering the kids in a local school, and we had to show an itinerary of what the first year in France would actually look like. So part of the socio-economical status was how much do I earn, how much do I bring in into the family household net, what are our anticipated outgoings are going to be per month, how much is going to be left over. I think the French were looking for, are we going to be sponging off the French state?
Yeah. Did you put down did you put down social influencer, content creator?
Well, and there's a story behind that as well, because we started our channel, Escape to France Charente, big description, purely just because when we were researching how to move over to France post Brexit, the stuff on the internet was so ambiguous and untruthful and confusing that we thought surely somebody somewhere has started a channel explaining how that, and nobody has. And so we did, and our first videos are funnily appalling in terms of the content, in terms of the editing.
Everyone did like that.
And this really annoying thing where I used to do that for the camera. But yeah, so we did it like
I put it straight there, didn't I?
He did, yeah, because Colin's my YouTube mentor, and what's he called, a critical friend.
There you go.
Yeah, critical friend, a gross error checker. So yeah, so our first videos were like, right, so yes, so this is us going to the visa appointment. This is where it is in London, right? This is the way you get in, because even that's not straightforward. It's heavily guarded by security, you know, and you know you go into a queuing system. We showed all our paperwork, which is all done in triplicate. It's all got to be photocopied by yourself, and they just it's not an interview per se. It's just have you got this document? Have you got that document? Have you signed this? Have you done that? And then they just take it from you. So I think we paid like £250 just to have that, just to have the visa appointment, and then I think we paid another £400 to actually apply for the visa. So the first lot of money was just to secure the appointment, and the rest of it was for the application. And then, so we then had to wait 14 days, where you've got a link to their website as to, it'll say visa application in progress, and we were like, every about 8 times a day going on to it. Oh, it's still in progress. It's still in progress. And it was right up until the last knock-ins that we actually got it. Then, when you move over to France, within the first 2 months, you've got to validate your visas. That's another €200 on top of that. You know, so you're looking at like £1,000 that you're just not expecting to pay just for a visa. No, yeah, for us all. Yeah, for us all. But yeah, so it was to say it was bureaucratic was an understatement. But
well, that you do anything in France, it's bureaucratic, no matter what. I mean, it's that time of year again where we're doing taxes.
Yeah.
So because I've earned £7.80 from YouTube, I'm not joking you. You have to start a business, and you have to start a micro entrepreneur thingy. You have to pay tax on your 50 pence monthly, and not only that, at the end of the year, any profit you've made, you've got to pay tax on that as well. It's just like, and also here we go, bureaucratically, got all this just to put solar panels on my roof is about, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, all that just to arrange an appointment for someone to come out and inspect the work, and that is just one part of putting solar panels on. Then I've had to apply for planning permission from the local mairie, which has taken a month, and the paperwork for that. So the paperwork in France is insane. Absolutely.
We have a lady works down in Charbonnet. She's like an admin assistant. So if we get stuck with stuff, we'll go and see Beatrice, and she's brilliant. And I can't remember what it was, but it was something that we was applying for. And she was saying, of course, you know, France is moving into the 21st century now. Pretty much everything's done online. So she's tappy. There you go, that's done. And then she printed off these forms and started filling them in. I said, have you not just done that form online? She said, yeah, I have to do it on paper as well and send it in.
Yeah, it is crazy.
But going back to what you were saying before, Andy, about your €7.54 from YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, it was purely by accident, because our YouTube channel, then it did a bit of behind the scenes on The Place in the Sun, and then we came over to France, and then we just carried on doing it. Never ever expecting to get anywhere near the 1,000+ subscribers that I've got. And then it was like exciting at first, because I was thinking, oh, hang on, because I think only 8.6% of YouTubers in the world get above 1,000 subscribers, you know. So I was really excited about it. And then I could see that I was making €2.50 sometimes on a good video. You know, so you
don't spend it all at once.
Yeah, so you're never going to get rich on it. It's less than minimum wage.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
If you think about the day's content and then the editing, is like, well, I've literally made.
I think it's probably less than minimum wage in Bangladesh.
I think you're right. But and then a subscriber helpfully emailed me privately, because you can gain access to our channel's emails on the within the channel pages.
On the about page. Yeah.
On the about page, you do need to click the fact that you're not a robot, and he'll probably pick up some pictures of motorbikes and say,
point out all the traffic lights.
Well, it's annoying because
bridges. That's the other one.
Yeah, for the one that gets me, and I don't know whether you're the same, is if it does the motorcycle one, it chucks in motorcycles push bikes, and it'll chuck in a scooter. Now, the computer considers a scooter a motorcycle, and I refuse to click it, so I will fail automatically, and I have to do the whole process again. But so a subscriber emailed me and reminded me the fact that I was on a visitor's visa and that I'd signed the declaration that I couldn't earn any money. So I had like €70 stuck in like an AdSense account that I can't take. It's a champagne problem.
Yeah, there you go.
But what I don't want to do is that I don't want to jeopardise our visa for the sake that I'm a small YouTube channel and I could earn €100 every 3 months. You know, it's just not worth. So I've just demonetized the channel completely. So it's all for free.
That's it. Yeah. It's interesting, and that just shows you how easy it is to get caught out on these kind of things. Yeah, interested. Just worth mentioning. Obviously, if you had an EU passport, none of this would be an issue, would it? You could just literally, like my parents did, one day, right? Yeah, I think today's the day. Get in the car, drive to France, sell your house in England, and that's it. Job done. Yeah. Or spend 6 months in France and 6 months in England, no problems. But now,
or even like what we talked about last week, Andy, about the even though we've got residency in France, we're still at times still controlled outside of France, but still in the Schengen area, which is a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, my passport's got loads of stamps in, tons of them. And because I travel to Spain a lot, I've just been to Poland, Czech Republic. I just do a lot of traveling, and I'm literally filling up my passport with stamps I would never normally get. And it's quite obvious. Like we were in where was I? Malaga airport recently. I got a bus from Granada to Malaga. Then when I was in Malaga airport, there's two sides to the airport. One side is for all those countries where the flights take off to other Schengen countries, and it's like it's literally just you go in the front door, and right in front of you, you go through security. Right in front of you is all the gates to everywhere else in Schengen. There's all the cafes, all the shops. It's like an open area where everyone is. Then you go to the left, and you go through passport control, and you're down the dark end of the airport where all the international flights go from, and that there's just one shop, and it's €8 for a bacon sandwich, and it's like, whoa, no way. And you just sit there with nothing to do. There's no real restaurants, there's no shops, no nothing, because you have to go through the passports every time and get them stamped.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And they do check. They do literally check, and they sometimes question you. Like I had a situation where when you leave France on a plane, you go to the airport with your passport, and you have to give them your passport and your residency card. Otherwise, they'll stamp your passport. But it's the same coming in. So if I fly back to Nantes, which is my local airport, and I haven't got my residency card, they'll stamp you in. And then the next time you fly out, you present your residency card, they won't stamp you out. So it looks like I could spend 3-4 months in France without a residency card. So if I then go to another country and they say, hang on, you came into Nantes and you haven't been stamped back out, you're an overstayer. You then have to prove that you're not. So
it's
you
got the potential for drama, isn't it?
And I don't speak Spanish, so I can imagine me stood in front of a Spanish border guard and he's thinking, right, well, no, I'm not going to let you into Spain because you've clearly overstayed. So you have to be careful when you get your stamps. Make sure you're stamped in and stamped out. Otherwise, it can lead to problems.
Yeah. What I was going to ask was, you mentioned earlier about placing some production. How much do they get involved with the actual paperwork and procedural? Nothing at all. So it's literally just the this is an house, do you want to buy it?
Yeah, but they did do a lot of work, so there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on, so we had to fill in a load of paperwork about health insurance and any activities that we do that was dangerous. And the only one that I took was motorcycling, and that was it. But they get your criteria, your budget, the type of house that you're looking for, the area that you want. And we'd always say Confalon because we'd seen it on a previous episode of A Place in the Sun.
Seen it on telly.
We'd seen it on telly. And so, yes, the places where we did all the filmings, the place that we saw it actually on the telly, which was a bit bizarre. But so they did a viability test, so they had to go away and research to see whether there were houses within the Confalon area of the Charente, within our budget, with the type of lifestyle that we want to lead. They came back and said, yeah, we've passed the viability test. They then deployed somebody to go behind the scenes and find, I think, over 100 different houses that were for sale. Then a week before, the production director and the assistant producer went out and did a recce of those houses, and then find the 5 houses that they actually show on the show, with a few in reserve, just in case any fell through, just in case any were sold within the meantime and stuff like. So they had a reserve. And then the show is really, really authentic. So we stayed in the same hotel as them. They paid for our flights, they paid for our accommodation, they paid for our breakfast and lunch. The only thing that we need to pay for was alcohol and evening meal. And we landed on a Sunday. Nothing was open, so we had to go to a pizza kiosk to eat.
Right, this is really good. We need to talk about this because, that's one thing. Yeah, carry on what you're going to say. And then
we'll come back to that one. Stick a pin in that one.
Yes, you stick a pin in the and a baguette kiosk as well. So we were starving because Sunday and everywhere was shut, and then everywhere on the Monday was shut as well because not all the shops all align in terms of their opening and closing, as you know. And so they did the filming Monday. We had to do walking shots and stuff like that. We learned a lot about behind the scenes stuff. The presenter was great. She had to do like listening shots, which was weird because they only had one camera, so they want to show it in different shots with us, but then it doesn't get Jean in the shot, so she has to at the end of it she has to do a listening shot
pretending to be listening to
where she's doing nods stuff like that.
I wonder
so the first
how
few times
okay,
I was still talking to her. All right, Robbie, you've got to stop talking because this is a listening shot. It's like, oh, okay, but no, for each house that we went to see, the reaction from the participants of the show is a true and honest one, because you've got to keep your head down as you're driving towards the property. You've got to get out the car with your hands over your eyes, and then they walk you up. So there's no second take on it. So if the house is appalling and you look up and somebody's just kicked your dog, then that's the expression that they're going to show. But what they did was they saved us probably about 6 months worth of work, because we were expecting to land in the September, stay in Aulnay for 6 months, and just spend our time house hunting, which was never going to be simple. With French estate agents and booking in appointments and stuff like that. So fortunately, our production director, who's worked for A Place in the Sun for a few years, or worked for Freeform Production because it's a separate company. He took a career break from A Place in the Sun and went and worked in real estate within London. So he brought with him a lot of transferable skills. So we had 2 years worth of being an estate agent in London. So he transferred those skills into like properly looking at houses within France, rather than any old production director who is just looking at houses without any skill about looking at houses. You're looking for the pretty ones rather than you're looking for the practical ones that would suit us as a family. So it was an amazing experience, and we've got an opportunity which seems quite bizarre because our episode hasn't been aired yet. So Channel 4, who then I think they buy the product of the show from Freeform Productions, but so they're now in control of when they release it. So you're looking for different locations, different budgets. Sometimes they want to do a show where somebody's only got a £30,000 budget. Our budget was £150,000, but then they want to do a show with somebody with £250,000 budget. Just to show a wide variety. And they don't want to do Charente for the next 3 episodes. They want to do a Barbados, a Bermuda, a Charente, and this and the other. So potentially, so they push them out in May, and then they push some more shows out in the September. But we got contacted just out of the blue a few weeks ago, asking us whether we want to be part of a Place in the Sun. Is it Where Are They Now? I think
it is,
yeah. Place in the Sun. Where Are They Now? So we have to do another screen test, which we did. They sent it off to Channel 4. Channel 4 said that they liked it. And we've got Gene coming out to us on the 8th and 9th of July to do 2 days of filming. You know?
Didn't you say that's why you bought the patio set?
And that's why I bought a patio set. Honestly, because €1,000 patio set was never in the budget. It would have been in the budget in the future, but then they said they're coming over. I thought, well, all we've done inside the house is just done a couple of rooms. There's nothing really to show. Right, let's get a barbecue. Let's get a patio set.
Could always do it in the shower.
Yeah, I could do, couldn't I? Clickbait.
Oh yeah. So going back to what you mentioned then, some of the things you find different or have found different, and I never saw them before, but they have like ATMs for bread.
Yeah.
We've got one down in the village here, because we had sort of a little shop. It was a little post office down the road here. It was open for 2 hours, I think twice a week. So that's 4 hours a week it was open. And when it was open, you could go and buy some croissants and a baguette. But that's since closed. So now they've put a machine in outside like a bread vending machine outside the Marie's office, the mayor's office.
So for people who don't know, legally you have to have access to bread wherever you are in France. So
I think it's a Napoleonic law, is it not?
Could be, yeah. Could be something along those lines. But you see them everywhere. So they're like little kiosks, and you go up, you put your money in or tap your card, and you get fresh bread out, and baguettes, that sort of stuff. It's really interesting. But they also do the same. I've seen the same with pizzas.
You did this, yeah. You had one, didn't you?
Yeah,
one of your videos.
Yeah, I've had a couple. So I had one when we did the behind the scenes Place in the Sun, which is on our channel, and then Robbie and I came around to visit you. I think we were helping you with the tiki bar roof.
Yeah.
And then we went to the local Super U. We were both starving, so we went to the pizza kiosk. So you're waiting about 5-6 minutes for it. It comes out, so you can either choose to have it hot or cold. You can either have curry, which is a kebab and chip one was the one that we had, which is absolutely weird. It was still tasty, and they actually are tasty, but be prepared, they are not cut. So you've got to tear and share, which is really difficult to do when you're driving. But but going back to what you're saying about the Napoleonic War, the Napoleonic law around baguettes, I believe, and I don't know whether you mentioned it on one of your previous videos, but I found it quite interesting to realise that it's every French person's right to be able to drive a car. And so I believe, and I could be only 30% correct in what I'm about to say, that if you're in France and you get a conviction for drink driving and you're banned from driving a car, you're not banned from driving at all. I think you are afforded the opportunity to buy a vehicle that looks like a car but is really classed as a motorbike.
Sounds permit car, yeah. So it's it's on one of my videos. They're a little 2-stroke car that only does around 40 kilometers an hour, I think.
And there are restrictions on it as well. There's distance that you can travel from your house in it, and also types of roads you can go on. And I read that somebody from Brittany had gone to the Alps in one and got fined for it. So interesting.
So you get a conviction for drink driving, and obviously these sans permis cars have to be insured. What sort of insurance company insures someone that's just got done for drink driving to drive a little car that everybody's going to overtake?
I think it's going to be a vast majority of people buying these cars that have exactly that. I'll tell you a little story. If you walk out of my house, turn right, and you end up by the river. And on some of my videos, you might have seen me. There's a bar down there, and it used to be owned by a guy, a Portuguese guy, and then it was sold a couple of years ago. But I remember going down there a few years ago, 2 o'clock in the morning, and he was still there, but he was slumped in the bar, and people were just helping themselves to drinks and leaving the money on the side, because this guy obviously he was drinking more than he was selling, I think. But then the following morning, I went down to the bar to make sure he was all right and see it. And opposite was 3 or 4 of these sans permis cars with drunk people passed out in the front of them. So there must be I guess more than 60-70% of them are from drink driving convictions. There's a few people from medical conditions. I saw one yesterday, some old guy getting out of the shops, but the car was in mint condition. You can tell which one's which, because the ones driven.
Some of them. I mean,
yeah.
Are they not covered by the CT, by the control technique, which is like an MOT, which is a twice yearly.
Every 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, twice yearly. Every 2 years.
Good question. I don't actually know but I will find out for the next episode and let you know, because if they were classed as motorcycles, then motorcycles up till the 15th of this month didn't require a control technique. As of 15th of April, they now require the same control technique as cars.
Yeah, because I mean, some of them, they just fall to bits, literally falling to bits.
Yeah, so if they were classified as motorbike before the 15th, then they wouldn't need a CT, but now they would. So that's just my best guess.
So I didn't realise that these cars were called sans permis. So I'm just trying to work it out in my mind. So permis being permit.
Without. So.
And then sans is less. So when you see. Right. Without permit. Yeah, that makes sense.
But if you think about it, France is a lot more spread out than the UK. So this is a difference I've noticed. Getting around if you don't have a car, is super tricky. If you want to get anywhere on a train, like if you want to go cross country, it's very hard. You normally have to go up to Paris and then from Paris to wherever it is you want to go. They are doing some improvements where they're doing cross east to west, west to east train lines. But as it stands, you normally have to go to Paris. It would be the equivalent of having to go to London for everything in the UK. But trains here are much better.
With so France is 4 times bigger than the UK with the same populace, and but it's funny how quickly you can become acclimatized to the French way of life. So when we first came over and we put Robbie into our local school, we couldn't put him into our village's school because it didn't have a place for Evangeline to go into. So and they both start at the same time. They wouldn't let us do the staggered, so we put them both in the school in a place called Champamouton, which is a 10-minute drive away. Now, when we first moved here and we taken them to the school, and it's only a 10-minute drive, and we come back saying, we only saw 4 cars in that whole 20-minute journey there and back. Then within a few weeks, it's like, saw 4 cars today. It was gridlock.
Yeah.
I did the same thing yesterday. Yeah. There was a tractor, because it's the time of year where they're moving the big bales of hay around, and there must have been like 10 cars behind this tractor, and very few places to overtake. And I was like, this traffic's murder. It's driving me mad.
Yeah. So but Colin, you're from Dagenham, aren't you? Originally in the UK. The traffic must be so completely different.
Well, when I used to finish work in the city, if it was, well, most times of the day, but in the rush hours, it was 13 miles to get home, and it could easily take me an hour and a half.
Yeah,
hour and 45 minutes. Yeah, to get home
every day. Yeah. That's just dead lost time, isn't it?
Yeah. And
Well, you get used to that, don't
distances don't mean the same things either. You just mentioned it then. So 13 miles, you say, oh my God, that's going to take me ages. Over here, you say 50 kilometers. Oh yeah, I'll go 50 kilometers for something, you know,
Yeah.
go to a restaurant or go shopping, go find some 50 kilometers is no problem.
Half an hour to a restaurant, yeah.
Yeah, of course you would. But you wouldn't, if you were in the UK, you wouldn't say, right, I'm going to go to a restaurant an hour away. Would you?
No, absolutely no chance.
No. So that's quite a big difference. And the quality of the roads here, I think, are better, especially from a motorcycling point of view. Have you found that, Robbie?
Ooh, I don't know, because the French do like to chuck out a bit of gravel for no reason. Which, as you know, is a death trap for motorcyclists. You know,
it's not ideal, no.
Yeah, so you could be banking it around the corner one day, and then the next day there's a bit of gravel there, and you're thinking, I don't know why that's there. But no, yeah, the quality of the roads, I would say in general, are a lot better. I like the way that so if in the UK we had a pothole system, and in the UK we do have a pothole system, then they will block off that road for weeks, and they will take up chunks of tarmac, and then replace like a quarter of a mile with brand new tarmac. I think in France, they've got a different system now where I think they spray the tarmac onto the road. So quite often you'll see the wriggly lines in the road. I don't think it's a temporary fix, but it's certainly a quicker fix than blocking off the road for weeks and weeks and weeks.
I think roads in general, the condition of the roads, because as you say, it's 4 times bigger than the UK, and which then means that there's less traffic concentrated on those roads. The roads in general are in much, much better condition.
Yeah, I would agree. And I know autoroutes as well, because you have to pay to go on major roads.
Yeah.
The quality of those roads is top notch, really is. But then you're paying for it, and it is expensive. But some of the main roads that run the similar route are pretty good as well, but you don't pay. So the N routes are good. Also, I don't know if you know, but Brittany, where I live, there's no toll roads at all. Then it's
yeah, you did mention about that actually.
Yeah, so
yeah, that was interesting. That's to do with history as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so there was I'm going to get this all wrong because I should have prepared for this, but there was the Duchess St Anne, something like that. Brittany was very important for the production of salt for the rest of France. And there's huge, if you go towards the coast around Brittany, there's huge salt flats where they still make salt. And it was so important that there was a law passed that you wouldn't, because Brittany was so important for that they wouldn't charge anyone for going on the roads. So the rest of France has to pay for the autoroutes. But the main roads here are toll free because of that. There isn't that many of them, but there are one between Rennes and Caen, I think, is the biggest one, the A84. And that's a lovely road, but you don't pay for it as soon as you're in Brittany. It's very strange.
So with the 3 different levels of, French experience, if you like, living, and you've travelled a bit more, Andy, within France. How have you found the French people?
I think it's like everywhere. There's good and there's bad.
Yeah, is it regional? So like in cities, because I've not really spent that much time in French cities. So is it the same with the cities in the UK where everybody's got a bit of an attitude on them and that sort of?
I think I spent quite a bit of time in Rennes, which is a big city, Nantes, and they're just busy people, like people in London or Manchester or Leeds, and they just want to get on with their lives. So you get less interaction. Whereas if I walked from here to the local bakery and there was someone on the street, then you could even stop and chat to them. So it's different because people are just busier in the cities. I don't think it's any different, really. Now, the difference between the north and the south, there is a difference, and there's a difference between east and west as well. So a good friend of mine, he's from the east, from the Alsace region, and that's been occupied by Germany, then France, and Germany, then France. And they have a different way of doing things. They even have different bank holidays to the rest of France. It's quite different. The food is different. Everything is different. And then when you go down south as well, that's very. It's like, I suppose the best way to explain it is if you go to Wales in England.
There's all these jokes running through my head, and there's that little voice saying, "Don't say it, don't say it."
I'm just saying it's different. Hello, Hugh, by the way, if you're watching. Yeah, so there are big differences, but in terms of friendliness, not that I've noticed. Just everyone's busy in the city. People in the country will stop and chat. I think that's the same everywhere.
Yeah. How have you found it with the French people?
So the biggest surprise for us was, and where it's different than in the UK, is when you go to a shop, and if you go into a shop, if you walk down an aisle, if there's somebody working there, they'll say bonjour to you. If you go into a hospital waiting room, which is what I had to do with Robbie when Jean-Luc the dog cut his eye accidentally, everyone in the waiting room was bonjour and au revoir. I thought it's weird how everyone knows each other, but it's not. It's just the general politeness. Yeah. And then when you leave, you'll be asked whether you want the ticket casse, and then they'll say non merci, and they say bonjour, au revoir. So they say have a good day and goodbye. Now that's completely different to the UK. So I found that the courtesy levels in France were a lot higher. What I will say is that courtesy stops as soon as they get behind the car.
Oh yeah.
As soon as they get behind the wheel of a car, which I found absolutely weird to think that where Colin and I live, it's all country roads. It's only built for 1.5 car wide. So somebody's got to give. Somebody's got to put themselves out and put themselves on the verge whilst driving. I find, and if there's any French people watching, I apologise. I find that very rarely do the French give way to so they will come at you at exactly the same speed as though you weren't there. So you've got to ditch your car in order to get past. And also at junctions, maybe not a junction if I'm behind a parked car and if there's another car coming towards me and I've literally gone 40 seconds out of my way to stop to allow them through, they'll drive past without even an acknowledgement that I'm even there and I've put myself out for them. So
maybe it's just you.
Yeah, it's just me. But even Lisa as well, who's attractive, you would think that they would wave to her in order to get her attention. But no, it's. But I just find it absolutely bizarre that courtesy isn't extended.
The standard of driving. I've got to admit, the standard here of whether it's on the motorway or country lanes is pretty low. I don't want to offend anyone by that. It's just how I see it. I remember when I first got here and I first decided to live here, my auntie said to me, I've just got one thing to say to you: never accept a lift from a French person. And I was like, why? And then one day I did. Yeah, you just don't do that.
Yes, Colin.
It's not the same.
Yes. So Colin's a highly qualified, high skilled, former professional driver. So who's been trained to the highest standards. So how do you find the French level of driving? Because you use the system of car control. You was trained by Roadcraft. So it's how do you?
Yeah. So. First of all, I would say that on the motorways, on the freeways, they're very good at lane control. So they'll overtake a slower vehicle and then move back to the lane one. But they've got no idea of stopping distance. So they would think that stopping distance at 150 kilometers an hour is about 3 meters. So they'll be right up behind you,
like a peloton.
Yeah,
you're trying to get the wind resistance down.
yeah, so it's, there's that. In terms of the actual driving,
Overconfident.
yeah, it's difficult to describe really. I mean, they're pretty good, you know. I mean, you don't see that many accidents. So having said that, I think certainly in every town I've ever been to, every single car got a dent in it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But
Wing mirrors, definitely.
yeah, wing mirror, yeah. But
There's two things I find. I don't know if you've noticed it, and one is the passive aggressive use of the indicator when you're in the outside lane.
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're driving along. Say there's two lanes, and you come up behind a lorry. You indicate, and you move out to go past the lorry at the speed limit. Could be 110, could be 130, whatever it is. And you're going past, and then someone will come right up behind you. And as Colin's already mentioned, zero idea of stopping distances. And they will have on their left-hand indicator.
because they want to get past.
While they're behind you. And I've seen them turn it on as they've got up behind me. And I'm halfway overtaking a lorry. I'm not sure what action I'm supposed to take at that particular point when I see that light. I don't know what it means. I asked someone, and and they just said, "Oh, yeah, we just want to get past." So yeah, but you know, if you're both overtaking a lorry, what I mean, you're not going to speed up and break the speed limit just because there's some guy behind you with an indicator on, are you?
Don't they call it pushing? I'm sure they call it pushing.
I think I mentioned that in another one of these
I think
videos.
you did. Yes, that's probably where I heard it. Yeah, pushing.
Yeah, so finally found out why they tailgate you so much, and it must be part of that. And they do call it pushing, so they want you to speed up, get past the truck you're overtaking, or even just hurry up. And they'll come right up behind you, and the idea is to intimidate you into going faster, and that's a natural thing. So
Is it
they
because
call it pushing.
Is it because it's illegal for them to flash you past like they do in Germany, where it's accepted in Germany, I believe, on the autobahns, where if a vehicle, because I think the roads are pretty much de-restricted, aren't they? The autobahns.
The autobahns, yeah, some of them, yeah.
So if you're driving 80 on an autobahn and somebody's driving 110 and they want to get past you, then they'll flash you. And that's, I think, certainly when I was over there in the 90s, that was perfectly acceptable. But I believe it's illegal to flash a car in France. But so as a get round, perhaps, you know, just thinking out loud, that's why they leave the indicator on, because again, you're getting across the message that they want to get across whilst not breaking the law.
So I've been here for a few years. I still don't understand that that system whereby you can go into a village and they'll completely change the give way system. So you're going down the main route through a village, and roads that are joining, you're supposed to give way to them.
Yeah, it's called priority à droite.
Yeah.
And it's more
Priority
more
to the right.
Yeah, so you give way to people from the right. That might sound completely crazy, but it slows you down.
It does.
It really does slow you down, because suddenly, oh my God, if someone pops out of that road and they hit me, it's my fault.
Yeah.
And it does slow you down, but you've got to know it's there for that to be effective.
Yeah.
And the way you know that it's there is there's no signage. So that sounds weird, but it's usually within a speed control zone, not out on the 80 or 90s. So it'll be within a town. And if you're approaching a junction that you see on your right hand side and there's no give way line and there's no sign, those are the two main ways you can work it out for the traffic approaching your road. So there's no give way sign for them, and there's no sign either stop or give way for them, and there's no paint on the floor, then they've got priority.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
I think as you enter the zone, there's a yellow diamond, isn't there? And then as you leave it, I think it's a yellow diamond with a black line through it. Is that correct, or is it the other way around?
Other way around. So if you see the sign, it's like a yellow square with a white border, I think it is, or black border with a bit of white. if you see that, then you've got priority. You might see that on the approach to a roundabout because they never used to have the priority for the people on the roundabout as well. So you could join a roundabout and the people already on it had to give way. So they changed the system and people didn't really know about it. So it was causing problems. So if you look now, when you come up to a roundabout, then you'll see this sign. And if it's a yellow sign with the border, then you have priority. If it's got a line through it, you no longer have priority. So that's a good indication, but they don't necessarily have that in residential areas. And it's not just old towns as well. So if I went to Rennes or Nantes, there's loads of them. And chances are, people watching this, if you live in France, you've blasted through loads of these places without even paying any attention. In fact, I can look out of my window now and I can see a crossroads with two of the roads are priority à droite. That's from my window. But people, including people I know who drive down here, don't treat it as such because there's so little traffic. You're not likely to hit anyone. But if it ever did happen, it would be your fault. But it's well worth looking for those junctions in your local area. I bet there'll be loads. So
It's going to take me twice as long to get home now.
So to sum up, because we're time's hurtling on as usual. To sum up, Andy, what would you say is the thing that you notice most about being different living in France?
You're not going to believe it, but petrol stations.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I go back to the UK now, I find it quite quaint that there's a little shop there that sells all your little crisps and your little chocolates.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about motorways. I'm talking about just like in the middle of town or wherever. Over here, 90% of the ones around here are all automatic.
Yeah.
So there's no one there. They're on usually in out of town areas, easy to get to. You just roll up, stick your card in, and take your diesel or petrol or whatever. It's very easy to use, very easy, and you can actually pay cash as well. Normally, there's a machine by the side. We covered this anyway on something else, and you can pay cash if you want. But then going back to England, having that little shop with someone actually in it, authorizing your payment for your fuel and all that, just seems oldie worldy to me now when I go back. But yeah, that's the one of the main things. What about you?
What about you, Ron?
Oh, okay. A few things. I found it really difficult to get my particular brand of hair dye over here. You've got to be honest with you.
Not really an issue for me.
And a lack of a Turkish barber.
Right.
Yeah. So where you go to a Turkish barber, you can get your nose hairs burnt out. You can get your ear rolls burnt out as well. They'll do your eyebrows for a bit of extra as well. So there's a lack of that. And a lack of a decent Indian.
I was just going to mention that. Spicy food.
Yeah.
Indian, yeah.
A piece. But we have found one in Angoulême, the Jardin de Cashmere, which we've been to a few times, which is really, really nice, really tasty. But still, when you go to these places, they'll ask you if they know that you're English, whether you want it French hot or English hot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There is a difference.
Yeah. So, and I always ask for English hot. It's still not hot.
The French do not like spicy food. Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. I got some haggis, a little bit of haggis for my French neighbour just to try, because I was bringing over different things which are from different areas of the UK, and it was Scotland. I thought, well, what else are you going to buy? And I said, what did you think of it? And he said, oh, yeah, it's all right, but it's really spicy, really, really spicy. And I was like, no. What about you, Colin? What do you find different?
The cost of second-hand vehicles is crazy.
Decathlon.
Yeah, it's just really, really expensive. The fishing. Okay, so I was talking to a chap the other day who's a bit of a fisherman, and he was saying that it's really difficult to find somewhere to fish that's any good because of two reasons. there's a countless number of lakes and ponds and stuff, but the vast majority of them are private. They're owned by someone, so you can't fish them. Those rivers that are public, a lot of the small fish get taken away, get caught and taken away to be used as bait or eaten.
Right.
Perch, it's quite unusual to find a perch in a river here because they've all been eaten.
Wow.
So I think for me, my favourite pastime is fishing. So it's difficult to find somewhere that's decent and without going down the road of paying vast amounts of money to fish for grossly overweight carp.
Interesting. Yeah. So we all got different takes on things.
Mm.
Yeah, interesting. Well, do you want to do anything for your channel, Robbie? All three of us are here.
What in terms of explaining what the? Yeah, I think I've explained what the channel's about. But yeah, I suppose it's me, a bit of light entertainment. I don't take myself you're very seriously at all. It is about being raw. It is about being honest. So, for example, yesterday I did the whole day without any audio, so that was really, really annoying. So so there's a choice today of either not including today's video, not including yesterday's video in today's one, and I could start afresh and pretend it was yesterday, if that makes sense, because it's done over 2 days. And I thought, well, no, I think the people that enjoy my channel enjoy it because I'm not trying to make it polished. I'm not trying to make it something that it's not. There are days that I mess up, and yesterday was one of those days where I messed up and I've done a whole day with no sound, so I've had to talk on the computer over it, and it was hard to do because I got really annoyed. And Colin, bless him, because we were texting last night, and I said I was really, really expletive, annoyed, and I explained what was actually happening, and then Colin turned around and basically said, just stop and look around and see what you've got. Now, what Colin didn't realise probably was that he was using a technique called a grounding technique, which in terms of therapy, etc., it's around stopping, realising what the issue is, and putting things into perspective, putting things into context, which is what I didn't do yesterday. So I over-catastrophised the situation, thinking that the world was ending, and then Colin just kindly reminded me, well, at the end of the day, it really is a champagne problem, isn't it? You did a day's worth of recording without any sound. What if? Whatever.
Do you know that? We're going to do a video, I think, on first world problems. That would be
that's
one of those
on the list. Yeah, I said that. I've already told Annie, but the best first world problem that I've heard is I really can't get the pH right in my swimming pool.
Yeah.
I think mine was, I can't believe it takes me 2 days to mow the lawn.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I had a similar one. My lawnmower that I used to ride on one's broken. And I was like, oh, God, my lawnmower's broken. I'm going to have to get my other tractor out the garage to cut it. All right, never mind. I've got to open the doors now. Well, I guess we better wrap it up. It's coming up to an hour and 10 almost. So, yeah, that went really quick. I'd just like to say thanks, Robbie. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll probably get you on in the near future for something else, no doubt.
Yeah,
definitely. But it's really good for you, for us, for you to be here. Makes it more interesting for the viewers as well, and get a different take on stuff. Especially the visa bits at the beginning. That's going to be quite useful. So if anybody does want to find out more about that, head over to Robbie's channel. Link in the description, obviously.
You want to do the outro?
What's the outro?
Just the subscribe and all that malarkey.
Okay, so if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Cost bugger all. Subscribe. Add a comment. Colin and Andy, you love a comment because it helps the channel. Hit the notification bell, because that's really, really important, because then you'll get notified of new videos as and when they're uploaded. And it leaves one last thing left to say, and I think it's from us.
Later.
I looked at
Because I want one now. And I don't even need it for my channel.
Right.
Just look at the office.
Who says I'm not an influencer?
Baby, let me be a loving teddy bear.